So today's mission is wiring up the VFD. Last time we got to the stage, we're deep down in here. We've got our 440 volt 3-phase coming straight into the machine, at which point it then diverges into the back of the machine, comes out over here. In doing so, it comes back as 200 volts, which is due to one nice big chunker of a transformer in the back. So we have a 200 volts that comes out here, and we have 110 that comes out here. 110 is used to drive the feed roll, the X power feed. The 220 is made available on this outlet port, 200, but it's 3 phase 200 volts, and then through from the transformer up to the isolator, from the isolator out to the 200 volts plus a feed that was going out to the input of this contactor. We've got a switch that activates the contactor across those phases there, which provides power out. One side of the power out is currently connected up to the coolant pump. The other side is going to the motor. So, depending if the coolant pump is on or off, when the motor is on, we should have coolant on. Separate to that, this is 200 volts. We've got the motor needing 200 volts. So our VFD needs to take in 440 down here and be able to switch forward and reverse at 200. So over to the desk. We've got the VFD wired up with an input, which will be 440 volts. We'll then want to reset everything back to factory remotes, factory standards. We've got a power coming in, the motor coming out, we've got our braking resistor here, and then we've got a range of inputs through here. So we've got a relay, which we'll use to turn on or off the power to the coolant pump, depending on whether there is actually the motor switched on. AO, A1, A2, they're the inputs for remote control. Digital inputs, RS485 is down here for Modbus. So, first thing is to power this beastie up and to get its settings back to 0. So the Kanto Mill threw a bit of a curveball at me when it turned out to be a 200 volt motor on the mill. There's a 3-phase plug, which is your 380 volts standard Australian 3-phase feed into the machine. So the VFD that I acquired to power the machine was rated to 1.5 kilowatts as the motor was, but it was 1.5 kilowatts at 380 volts. Power equals VA, so when it comes down to the 220, obviously the amps needed to push the same wattage as twice as many amps. And what became apparent through a whole pile of trials and tribulations, trying to see what I'd messed up in the settings and getting it outputting 200 volts, which a VFD is perfectly capable of running anything out from 0 to 380 volts. So the VFD is capable of putting out anything from 0 to 380 volts or 440 volts out of a 380 volt / 440 volt input. So the output voltage wasn't the problem. After a couple of false starts trying to get the thing tuned up, it was still showing me an error 2. And reading in the manual on the VFD suggested that the unit just wasn't up to size. So 1.5 kilowatts isn't the only thing you'll want to look for when you're looking at the power rating of a VFD for a given motor. In this instance, with the 200 volts, I actually needed a substantially bigger output capability that was capable of 9.8 amps, which my little VFD that we tried out there wasn't able to do. So in the end, the only option was to try a bigger unit, and thankfully Bruce had one on the shelf I could put into test, and that's where this Micno unit comes from. Once I ran up the new Micno, setting the 200 volts, all the other input functions for the motor, you'll then see me run the Autotune, which I was able to do, and the motor behaved itself. I certainly didn't expect there to be a problem with the motor because it was running cleanly on 3-phase via the 220 volt transformer. So I figured it was just a question of a mismatch in the output power. So the unit, the Micno unit, is a 2.25 to 4 kilowatt rated unit, which is in the range that the 200 volt 9.8 amps unit requires. I think the Micno's maximum current output is about 10.8 amps. So it is within the range there. So after all of that, we were able to get the unit up and running. I had to adjust the location of the remote sensor, the remote control. The outlet on the back is in a slightly different position to the initial one. But that all being fixed up, we're now up and running live. Alright, so here we go. Now we have a different inverter run. Beep, beep, beep. Hey, the motor's turning. That's what we want. Cross for that. So that's the issue. The old other VFD was too small for this motor. Holy shit, might have worked, chaps. Press run. Set to slow start. program P1 0 enter.
That's a victory, mate.
I'm going to take it. Alright. Alright, so now we are cutting into the adjusting plate. forward, speed control, reverse. DRO is functioning on X and Y. This is a bit of abomination still, but power to the VFD is coming off the 440 volts up to here and then out to the motor. I've got the switch wiring coming through on the inputs on this one, and I will likely hook the wiring for the pump so that when the pump is on, that it is connecting to solenoid. So this switch will basically need to connect off to the bottom of that, and we'll use the relay in here to trigger it. But I'm thinking possibly the box going vertical, and a hole through the top of the case and just a back strap. Concern, of course, is potential chips and whatnot. And a good calling out in the open like that. I'll have a chat to Bruce anyway. I had this box here for the other VFD, but obviously it's a bit small now. Approaching completion. Starting to look like a real thing. To do some work. Now I've got to figure out how to make those things work. So there we have it. A little bit of trials and tribulations. We've learned some stuff. Key to which is that it's not just the volts that you care about. The amps are important as well. And that's what we're all about here, is learning new things. So thanks for sharing the journey with me, and we'll come back shortly. I'll have the Z-axis buttoned up. I'll be mounting all of this now into a control box, and then that will be pretty much the end of the Kanto Mill update. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this kind of content, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks guys.